So what are we looking at here? All the way to the end, the last little blue line that you see is the Mediterranean Sea. Wow. When the sun sets, you see the sun glimmering off the water. Now it's like a little bit kind of blends into the blue and of the green of the mountains, but the last blue strip is the ocean. And so in the sun sets here, you can imagine with the clouds and the water. It's like beachfront property in the mountains. It's so awesome. And so this way is the Mediterranean Sea, all the way straight this way. That's already Jerusalem. Now, if you were to look all the way, you can see this way. All the way, all the way, all the way, that's Gaza. So Gaza is all the way there. So, during, wars or different types of, I was called up to the last war in Gaza. I'm a platoon sergeant. And so my wife would sit out on our porch and she would see smoke, rising from Gaza. And she'd be like, oh God, please help my husband. But we can see, when there's stuff going on in Gaza, we literally see the smoke coming up or whatever it might be. We're able to sometimes see rockets that are actually shot off into Israel. And then straight this way, do you see where those two mountaintop, let's start here. In the valley down here, the valley, that's an Arab village. And then right above the Arab village, that big red-roofed town, is the largest ultra-Orthodox Jewish community in Gush Etzion, in this area in Judea. Now, see, the ultra-Orthodox, they keep the Torah the same that I do, but what they've maintained is the exterior traditions of the Judaism before the Holocaust. And the ideological difference between this community and that community is that when they think of the golden era, they're like, oh, if we could only go back to Europe before the Holocaust, when the rabbis were alive and Judaism was flourishing in Europe. So they sort of we want to maintain that time. So we're going to dress the way they dressed. We'll wear big furry hats, even though they're not living in Poland in the winter. They're in the Middle East now. But they when they think of the golden era, they think of Judaism before the Holocaust. And when we think about the golden era, we think about King David. And we're what would King David look like? He wouldn't be wearing a big strong. But as far as their life and observances and their faith, they would pray in our synagogues. We would pray in their synagogues. So it's a little bit like a cultural difference. Where how do we want to look? How do we want to express ourselves in the day? But as far as theology, lifestyle, it's really very much the same. And this community here, per capita in the world, has the highest birth rate of any place on planet Earth.
Wow.
I was told, this community right here, I was told that they have an average, that means having less because there's young couples still and there's newlyweds, but the average is about 9 kids. But if you really get to a mature family, the average is more like about 11. 11 is about the average.
Pastor Nick, you gotta get out.
So this community is called Beitar. And the last revolt, where did this whole idea of Palestine come from? Where did the word, this is Judea, these are the Judean mountains, that's the Judean desert. Where did the word Palestine come from? So in the year 136, the Roman Emperor Hadrian crushed the final rebellion that was led by Rabbi Akiva and by a false messiah named Bar Kokhba. Rabbi Akiva thought, this is the guy that's going to lead us into battle. He's going to destroy the enemies of Israel. We're going to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. The Jews followed him into battle and were just crushed by the Romans. The Romans then exiled us across the world, as the prophets said they would. And to sort of pour the salt on the Jewish wounds, they renamed Jerusalem Ilio Capitolina. They renamed this region Palestina after the ancient enemies of Israel, the Philistines, which of course were long extinct. But he wanted to erase any Jewish reality, and he named the ancient city of Shechem Naples, because he thought that Shechem looked like Naples in Italy. But Arabs don't know how to pronounce the letter P. That's not in their alphabet.
Nablus.
So Naples became Nablus. And that's why today Nablus is Nablus and not Shechem. So he tried to change Jerusalem's name, but that was never going to work. But for those that wanted to, now it's all right. So it was called Palestine because, why not? Let's erase out the Jewish memory to this land. And that's where these, non-nations sort of received this reality that this was called Palestine for a while. And so if we are going to give land back to people, I guess we should give it back to Rome? Meaning, who does this land really belong to? And so Beitar, this was the last stronghold of the Jewish rebellion against the Romans. and it was the last city to fall, and it was called Beitar. And how awesome is it that the last city to fall in the final uprising fell in a bloody, terrible massacre, and now it has the highest birth rate per capita in the world.
Wow,
like rebirth and regrowth.
God.
And so where we are standing here is a very, very special place. There's a dirt road. You can see it right there. You see where that chicken coop is, those two long rooftops? Right under it, you'll see a dirt road that winds around that community. That road is called the Route of the Patriarchs. An archaeologist dated back to the times of Abraham. And when Romans came, they didn't make new roads. They found existing roads. They widened them. They, kind of plowed them, made them more efficient, better. They put milestones on the road. And does anyone have a Bible here?
It's on the bus.
1 second, I got one on my phone. Just 1 minute. Thank God for iPhones. But if we look at the end of the story, the beginning of the story of Abraham, hold on just 1 minute, of Abraham and Isaac. We all know the story, that Abraham was called to take Isaac from where they were up to Mount Moriah in Jerusalem. But that's chapter 22. But at the end of chapter 21, it tells us where Abraham was. And here's what it says. This is chapter 21, verse 32. And so Abraham and the king Avimelech made a covenant in Beersheba. They called up the Sartzava, the captain of the army, and they sat together in the land of the Philistines many days. Abraham planted a tree, an eshel, in Beersheba. He called out in the name of God, creator of the universe. And Abraham lived in Beersheba in the land of the Philistines many days. That's chapter 34. Now we come to chapter 22. And after these things, God tested Abraham and said, Abraham, and Abraham said, Hineni, here I am. Take your son, your only son that you loved, Isaac, with you to the land of Moriah. So Abraham was in Beersheba this way. And he walked along this road right here that comes right up along here, up to this mountaintop, literally where we are now, and continues this way, all the way to the Temple Mount, which is right in front of us this way. Wow. Now, as Abraham takes Isaac, we continue on in the story. And at one point in the Bible, it says, he arrives at a certain place. Vayar et hamakom merachok. This is verse 4. On the third day, which is about a 3-day walk from Beersheba to right about this region here. Vayar et hamakom merachok. And he saw Mount Moriah, which is literally right here in front of us. If you look with this, you can see the dome of the rock right here. If it's a little bit harder if you can't pick it out with your own eyes, but you can see it right there. It's sometimes blocked a little bit by this little light pole there. He saw the place from afar. Now imagine, Abraham and Isaac are walking on this road that comes right up here. This is the first mountaintop. So was it right here? Was it on that mountaintop right there? Right in this area, he's standing with Isaac when he first sees the Temple Mount. Vayar et hamakom merachok. This is the first time he could have seen it. And now, 4,000 years later, almost, believers in the God of Abraham and Isaac are standing in the same exact place as the Jewish communities around are being rebuilt and reestablished on our ancient land, in the same places that our fathers. And so the magic and wonder and just the majesty of this land is that when we walk on this land, this isn't just another land. This is where it all happened. This is the destiny of the Bible. This is the destiny of our people. This is God's plan for all of humanity. This here, right there, is the center stage for God's plan for the whole world. And now, being here, strengthening this place, building it up, we're a part of God's dream.
Amen.
And so, I wanted you to see, and this is the place, of course, that the world wants to take from us.
That's right.
These places, like here and like Neve Daniel, they're called settlements. And they call them settlements because settlement sounds like something that's not natural. It's like, oh, these are settlements.
Or not permanent.
Separate, not permanent, right? These are just something that's just here for a while. And they want to call this the West Bank. And so, why are Jews called Jews? Some people think it's because we're from the tribe of Judah, but that's not true. Because in the scroll of Esther, Mordechai is one of the first people to be called Mordechai the Jew. But he continues his lineage, and he's from the tribe of Benjamin. And it says Mordechai is from this, the son of Benjamin. The Jew. And he's like, well, if it's from the tribe of Judah, why is he then called a Jew? He's from the tribe of Benjamin. He shouldn't be called a Jew, because Jews are not called after the tribe of Judah. That's a misconception. Jews are called Jews because we were from Judea. There was a kingdom of Judea that many tribes lived in. Simeon lived here, Judah lived here, Benjamin lived here. When Jeroboam established the golden calves up north, many of the righteous men were like, we're out of here, we're moving to Judea, we want to stay connected to the temple of God. So Judea was a kingdom. Here in the mountains of Judea, we are called Jews today, the remnants, because we're from Judea. Now imagine, it's easy to say, settlers occupying the West Bank, get out of here. Okay. Imagine if they would say, Jews, get out of Judea. That'd be a little bit harder, wouldn't it?
It would.
You say, Jews, get out of Judea. I am a Jew because I am from Judea. My name gave birth to me from these mountains. This is where we are. This is who we are. You can't take this away from us. And so that's why the war of words and the war in the liberal secular media, West Bank occupying settlers, someone that doesn't really know the Bible, that doesn't know our history, that doesn't really know who the Jewish people are. So it sounds like we're just occupying some foreign land to us.
Yeah.
There could be nothing farther from the truth, that we are the indigenous people, that our fathers walked on these lands and we were called after this land. More than the land of Israel belongs to the Jews belong to this land. The land gave us our name. Mm-hmm. And so here we are where prophecy meets reality as we see the rebirth of the people of Israel in the land of Israel. And so now I want to take you to what I believe to be the most important pioneering project that I am so excited for this community to be a part of. Because just walking there, Abraham didn't do much in his life. He just pretty much walks throughout the land. He walks up here and he walks up there and he's walking from Beersheba and he's walking all around. And so you should know that God is calling on all of us, as he did, to walk throughout this land. And our walk is our prayer. And it's a prayer that we use our whole body with. So where I'm about to take you guys now, for me, is my biggest prayer. And I'm thrilled that on Sukkot, the holiday where all the nations come together to celebrate, we're going to do the greatest celebration now. Come on. The nation of Israel has come into the land 3 times. Once after Egypt, once after the destruction of when Babylon destroyed our first temple, Ezra and Nehemiah came in a second time. And this is the 3rd and final ingathering. And this 3rd and final ingathering, this is the first center to be established as a center of study, of prayer for Jews and the righteous among the nations in the land of Israel.
Hallelujah.
There is no such thing like this yet. And so those side buildings, that's going to be small little hotel rooms or little apartments for small families that they can come. Instead of staying at a hotel, you feel like a tourist when you're at a hotel. You come here and you live in your own little apartment on the land. And you wake up and there'll be prayer services here in the morning and then a morning class. And then we'll go out and work in the fields. We'll be eating together, working together, learning together, praying together, living together. And so there'll be differences. Of course there'll be differences. You get 10 Jews in a room, there's already 40 opinions. Add a bunch of non-Jews into the room, now there'll be 100 opinions. But what we have shifted away from in our belief, how do we build up what we call Mashiach's team? Now we may even have a dispute on who Mashiach is because the Jews don't really know yet. We're like waiting for him to appear. And that'll be the big question when he comes. Is this your first time or is this your second time, right? But you know what? If he's smart, he won't ever answer.
Why?
And maybe, why does one of us have to be wrong and one of us have to be right? Maybe God's ways are beyond our ways.
Right.
Maybe his thoughts are beyond our thoughts. And as we're trying to convince each other on the issue that divides us, let's put that aside for just a minute. And now let's leave theology alone.
That's right.
The Messianic movement has an ideology. What's an ideology? It's not a theology. It's what we believe in. It's what we work towards. It's what we want to train our children towards. And the language that we've come up with is biblical Zionism. What is biblical Zionism? Well, we believe in the God of Israel. We believe that the land of Israel was given to the nation of Israel as a covenant by God. We believe in restoration of the land of Israel. Yes. We believe that it's not a Jewish movement, but it's God's movement. Amen. And all those that want to be a part of that movement are invited to stand shoulder to shoulder with us. That the state of Israel today is the manifestation of biblical prophecy envisioned by the prophets given over to by God. Now that's a movement that has nothing to do now with the theological differences between us. That's the meeting ground where Jews and non-Jews can stand together in a new movement of biblical return to Israel. That people live a Torah-inspired life. That we believe the Torah is not done away with. We don't like the word Old Testament. That doesn't seem right. God's ways are always His ways. Shabbat has always been Shabbat. It's in the 10 Commandments. It was never really shifted to Sunday according to His will. And so imagine that. There is a movement that can, theology aside, ideology though, we have the same ideology. And let's unite on that. And then when the theology comes into play, when Mashiach comes, it won't matter.
It won't matter.
One of us may be able to say, I told you so. Maybe. But maybe not. Maybe there is a way that both of us are right or both of us are wrong.
Yeah. We won't care when he
but
comes
what's so nice is that everyone here is following the truth that God has given us a truth, and we're all following the truth. And it could be that God is revealing truth to the Jewish people and other truths to others. And His plan is like beyond our imagination. And so
This is Tekoa?
Well, Tekoa, the city, these are the mountains of Tekoa. The ancient city of Tekoa was there. Tekoa is about 10 minutes that way.
Okay.
But these are the mountains of Tekoa, and the ancient city of Tekoa was actually around here. But the modern settlement of Tekoa is closer to the Herodian.
I know. I find it interesting about Amos and everything.
Yeah, of course.
Because he went to the northern kingdom and he says, how can two walk together lest they be agreed? What have you done? What are you doing?
Exactly.
Because you made a covenant and now you're committing adultery. And it's funny how we're here as non-Jews. Amos spoke to us. We read it. We got it.
Yeah, awesome. And so I'll tell you the story of what happened here. So you all know the Wallers. And they have such a place in my heart. And they're serving the Jewish people, and they're building up our farms, and they're helping us so much. I said, that's it. I want to serve you guys. Y'all are coming to my house for Shabbat. And so they have 11 children. Most of their children are married, so it's 36 people at my house for Shabbat. And my dear wife, she's like, how are we going to do this? And so we had the best Shabbat, but Friday they came over to Gush Etzion, because they don't really know this area that well. And I was like, what am I going to do with the Wallers on Friday? They take tours, so they know the area pretty well. About a year and a half earlier, the mayor of this area of Gush Etzion said, there's a new farm that's being established in politically the most strategic place in Judea. That's going to connect these 4 communities. Like, Jeremy, if you could help them, that would be amazing. And that was 2 years ago. I'm like, okay, if I could help a farm, I'll try. And then when I heard the Wallers are going to come, I was like, ooh, the Wallers help farmers. There's a new farm. That's a no-brainer. I'll introduce them to the farmers, and then whatever God does, God does. So we pulled up with all their, caravan of cars. We pulled up right where that bus is. We stood out here, and I'd never been here before. And I stood exactly where you are standing now, and I looked over these mountains. And I saw the beginning. This structure looked more like that structure at the time. I kind of still under construction. And this road was paved. And, I'm not such a hoo-hoo spiritual kind of guy. But I don't know what else to say other than my soul simply connected to this land. It was like a special reality that I never felt before. And so we went back home for Shabbat. We had an amazing Shabbat Sunday. I was so inspired by these people that there was nothing here. They paved this road over these 4 mountain tops. They built this and they built it. I'm like, wow, they planted these olive trees. I was like, this is amazing. So Sunday I came back. Monday I came back. Tuesday I'm now with my prayer shawl. Wednesday I'm with my tefillin. I have my guitar. Thursday, Friday, 3 weeks every day. I couldn't leave. My soul was rooting. It just kept on pulling me back here. Eventually, after 3 weeks, the 2 founders of the place said, Jeremy, you come in here quite a lot. And I'm like, guys, I'm just so inspired by what you guys are doing. They said, well, listen, we've invested our whole lives into this. We just planted these olive trees all alongside the property, about 200 of them. And we don't have the money to bring the water. Because, there's a watering system here. But the watering system had to be brought from that water tower over there, a 3-kilometer ditch had to be dug and then brought all the way over to here. It's like, because it's pioneering new land, there's no infrastructure here. And I said, well, how much would that cost? He said it would cost 90,000 shekels. And that's about, I don't know, $28,000. And for 4 years, there's Tehila, she's my wife. Those are my 2 littlest children. That's Emunah. Emunah is faith. And Noam, that means pleasantness or serenity. That's Noam. And I got 3 bigger kids. They're all hiking there in the mountains there. They're all hiking around. And so for 4 years, we had put money aside every month.
Do you guys have a border collie?
No,
that's our neighbors. They're also here.
We have a border collie.
Oh, that's great.
There we go.
And so for 4 years, we had set aside money every month to buy a car that would fit our 5 kids, because we had 5 now. We got to have like a 7-seater car. And we were driving like a real, I was like a 30-year-old car that, most days had to be jumped to get it started. So we finally had about 90,000 shekels put away. And they told me they need 90,000 shekels for the farm. And I'm like, okay, take all of my money. And I gave them all of our money to bring water out here. And I said, now I can really feel like, wow, I'm invested in this beautiful vision that these people are doing. And so then they thought I was just the nicest guy on planet Earth. And then we became great friends. And then 8 months passed. And then we were looking for studios for our network, because we host a radio show and we put out television productions. And so we're looking in Jerusalem and we're looking to rent spaces and do spaces. And we were out in the mountains of Shiloh, Ari and I, my partner. And we're saying, so God, what do you want from us? Where are we supposed to go? We can't find any good studios. And then it hit us just like a bolt of lightning. Why take a room in Jerusalem where this building that we had recognized could become our studios? And this could become a center for the nations. And this will become our headquarters. And we said, that is the most God-given idea ever. So we came back to the people at the farm and we said, guys, we think this should be our studio to teach people what it is to live a biblical life. Because the prophet said, each man, Micah in chapter 4, each man will sit under his grapevine and under his fig tree. Now some people think of that and say, well, that was ancient times, so he spoke in ancient words. But now, we live in cities. We have skyscrapers. Is she okay, Chamudet? She has a DD in her hand.
In her head?
In her hand. To put... Oh,
That's a pepper.
This is just like being at home.
yeah, exactly. So, each man would be sitting under his grapevine in his fig tree. So we think, well, I live in Tampa now. We got big skyscrapers. That's modernity. The prophets, that's just ancient. But maybe the prophets of Israel were tapping into a higher truth than modern progressive secular society. That actually we're supposed to be connected to the land, living off the land, in harmony with the land. Adam is called Adam because he was taken from the Adamah. He's called Adam because he's from the earth.
That's right.
Like, we are meant to be living in harmony with the world, not polluting it with skyscrapers and roads and all the nonsense. No, the vision of the prophets is living off the land, by the land, with the land, in harmony with the land. So imagine to give people an opportunity to live in the land, off the land, Jew, non-Jew, the righteous among the nations. It's like a sneak peek into the Messianic era. And the 2 founders of the farm said, we are so happy we know what we've been building. We just had a vision to build. We knew we were supposed to build this structure like this. We knew we were supposed to build this building like this. This is a studio. We are so excited to broadcast the Torah to the world. This is a center that people will be learning and living here and volunteering. Thank you for letting us know what we've been building. God only gave us the vision to build, and we didn't know what we were doing. And so now we've come here in this amazing, God-given vision that we still haven't pulled down the full vision yet. It's still kind of coming. But it's manifesting now, slowly but surely. And so I want to take you all to the center and see what we're doing over there. You guys will love it. Here, come on this way.
Yes.
Can we help somebody down, Mike?
come all the way across the world to be a part of your work here in the land of Israel. Teach us to walk sensitively together. Teach us to understand each other and to always judge each other with the benefit of the doubt. Teach us to learn each other's languages, that we should communicate with a pure tongue, that we should speak only on your behalf and for your sake, and that our efforts and that our resources, our prayers be directed towards building your kingdom, towards spreading your knowledge across the world like water covers the sea. That we should unite together, Jew, non-Jew, those that are discovering their true identities in these last days, to stand united with the people of Israel in the land of Israel, and that we should walk together in the courtyards of the temple in Jerusalem. May this center broadcast this vision to the world, and may it pull like a magnet all of the souls that are meant to be pulled to Israel. May it be your will. Amen.